All right, welcome back, everyone. Today we're here to discuss ways to recognize early signs of communication delays, the importance of early intervention, and why parents should always trust their instincts. As usual, I have my beautiful cousin, Shalise Lopez, and we have
Hello.
our lovely guest, Miss Liz Carrier. How do you say your last name?
So it's hyphenated. The carrier is the easiest part. The second part is the Polish part, and that is dzwonek. So
Ooh,
the W is pronounced like a V.
Swan. Okay, awesome.
Yes. So it's, yeah, definitely unique.
Very-
We need unique in this world.
We do. So, Ms. Liz, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, your
Yeah.
background as a speech language pathologist, and what inspired your passion for helping children, communicate?
Sure, absolutely, absolutely. So, thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. And this is my passion. This is not just a career, not just a job. This is my passion is supporting people, helping people communicate. And I love to talk about it. I love to talk about you know, uh helping parents, helping people with special needs. And so, again, I'm just thrilled to be here on the show and on the podcast. So, I'm actually a speech language pathologist by trade. I've been in the field of speech pathology for 20 years now. However, my background working with people with a wide variety of abilities and disabilities goes back much further. Um, I started out actually back when I was in high school. There was an autism program at my high school, and I was involved with that. And it just was kind of an instant thing for me. I just felt that draw, and then that kind of turned, and everything just kind of led to something else. That turned into me actually teaching swimming and teaching swimming to people with disabilities. So I would have a whole huge group of people in wheelchairs, and the pool I worked at had a zero entry, so it was like a beach.
Mhm.
So we could wheel their wheelchairs right into the water and get them out of the wheelchairs and work with them to teach them how to swim.
We
So I was doing that when I was 17, 18 years old. So, and I'm old. So that goes back a ways.
we're never old. We're never truthfully old.
We're seasoned, well seasoned.
Well seasoned, wiser. We're never
Yeah,
old.
Never.
absolutely. And I really enjoyed that. I ended up from there. I worked in a preschool for children with speech and language impairments. And all of a sudden it occurred to me of this could be my path in life, if I wanted to put in the work. At that time, I didn't know what a speech therapist or speech pathologist was. I had no idea. And there were several in that program that I worked very closely with. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is the coolest job ever. I want to do this. And so I had a wonderful group of folks who really encouraged me. At that time, I was, my early 20s, not really sure what I wanted to do, kind of just taking one step at a time. But they really encouraged me that I needed to, get serious about college and my education. And if this was my dream, pursue it, because what did I have to lose? So I did exactly that. I ended up enrolling in Eastern Michigan University. Go Eagles! And I studied speech language pathology there, got my undergraduate, and then continued on into graduate school. And it was just I didn't have one doubt in my mind that that was what I needed to do and what I was supposed to do. And through the entire process, the augmentative and alternative communication has always been a piece of that. So at this point now of 20 years as a professional, I really wanted to focus on the AAC, and with the company AAC Plus, that's what I've been able to do. And I'm just enjoying it so much. We've got a wonderful app called Spekeasy, and I've been working with the development team and the marketing team. And I get to be creative. I get to be innovative, which are, the things I love to do. So that's, that's kind of been the course. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. But I'm one of those, I'm kind of up for anything and bring it on. As long as I'm pursuing my passion and I'm helping people and I'm feeling good about what I'm doing, bring it on.
I just want to verify. That's how you spell the Speakeasy, right?
Yeah. SPK.
SPK.
Mm-hmm.
That's better?
That's good. Yes.
Right. Awesome.
Okay, I just want to go back to one thing that you said, just because I'm just doing a little bit of mouth calculations. You're probably around the same age that we are, which would say, I know growing up for me, autism wasn't really at the forefront the same way that it is now. So for you to say like the high school autism program, what exactly was that program like? What did that entail a little bit?
Sure. Thanks. Yeah. Thanks so much for asking. So that was back in the 90s when I was in high school.
I figured that's what I was thinking. Okay.
And they were self-contained classrooms, and the kids would go integrate into some of the main courses. But the way I was involved is I'd go into the self-contained classrooms, and then I'd help out with whatever they were doing. Whatever work they were doing,
So
I'd help out.
So we used to call them, so it was like that one classroom. It was kind of that setting where they would put everybody with a disability into that one classroom. So you had the ability to kind of take them and put them in, integrate them into the regular classrooms, and kind of like a para is now when they have their IEP. So you were helping them initiate and figure out all the kinks. For you with that program, what do you, I'm sure, I know it was forever ago, so it's crazy for me to ask, but do you remember like any of the stipulations? Like what determined them? Was it they had to just come in with a doctor's diagnosis with autism, or sitting in the class? Like how were they allowed to go into the other classrooms, I guess would be how
because I was just a student at that point. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't really privy to any of that information. Okay. Yeah, I really, that was,
well, they would just tell you this student is okay to go off.
And I wasn't actually going to those other classrooms. I was just strictly going into their self-contained. And then whatever activity they were doing for the day, I was just helping out with.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Even for some of those times in those classrooms, they would put people in there just for behavioral issues. Yeah. It wouldn't necessarily be, because they were having any learning disability. Right. It would just be because they were disruptive to the class, and then they would end up stuck. I know lots of students at that time that I was going to school. They would just like, oh, that one's a problem, and shove them off into that class.
Yeah. No, this was, this was a pretty progressive program in that at that time, it was specific to autism.
Okay.
So, that was pretty progressive then. So, and, things have, of course, changed how we, how we characterize, how we label, things are constantly changing. Just when everyone is like, oh, we now have level 1, level 2, level 3 autism, in a couple of years, it's going to change to something else.
Up to level 99. Who knows? Yeah. We're all different.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Thank you so much. I was just wondering. I was like, wow, I wish they had, brought that into our high schools and kind of gave us more of an opportunity to work with. Because like I said, a lot of those kids wasn't necessarily just because of a learning disability, but that's absolutely great. It's a nice post. See, as we said, seasoned, not old.
Yeah,
And
right.
Very. Sorry, guys. My husband's away, so I have the kids, so they're gonna probably keep popping in and out. So you see me escape, come back in.
That's
oh,
okay.
it's okay. He can make his appearance. My beautiful baby back there. I see him.
Oh, yeah, so my,
Do you want to? We'll go over to segment one, the emotional side of
yeah,
diagnosis. You want to do that one?
yes, yes.
Sure.
All right.
Oh, okay.
All right.
All right. So
Go ahead.
earlier you sent us some stuff, information about how you wanted to speak to this, and I know you talked about how it is okay and normal and natural to feel like a sense of loss, um,
Hmm.
and it's not discussed enough. Can you expound on that for us?
Sure. So, when parents have their beautiful brand new baby, you've got all that possibility in the world, and holding that little baby in your hands, and anything is possible. And that's a wonderful and a scary feeling as a parent. But it's one thing when that new baby is placed in our arms or on our chest. We have all the hopes and dreams for that little sweet precious baby. um and once that baby starts to grow and develop, and maybe they're not doing all the things that your friend's baby was doing, or maybe they're not doing all the things their sibling was doing at that age, or maybe they're not doing all the things that your cousin's baby is doing, and you start to kind of have that little feeling deep down that I'm a little concerned, and there's something different, and I'm not sure what it is, and I'm a little concerned. And I because when we bring a child into the world, we just want everything to be okay. We want everything to be okay, but when we start to have those feelings of, ooh, all right, I got that little voice saying, this something's not quite right. um I encourage parents to listen to that voice. That's one of the strongest instincts that you can have as a parent. And I encourage parents, if they have any concerns, the earlier the better, to discuss those concerns with your pediatrician. And if you have a pediatrician that is not receptive, that is not willing to listen, that is not, you know, not concerned, it's really think about, is this sitting right with me?
Exactly.
Because you will have some pediatricians that say, they make you feel better, and they're right, and they say, actually, it's okay. The child is still within their normal range for developing whatever skill. Let's give it a little bit of time. you know um all of those types of things, which is great. um there are some pediatricians who kind of will blow off parents and
Mm.
won't listen, and will just say, oh yeah, it's fine, he's fine, she's fine. So for parents, they can always go get a second opinion. They can always go see another doctor and ask questions.
Yeah.
Asking questions is the most important thing that you can do. So make sure that you have that comfort in that relationship to speak up, and to that you feel like your opinion as a parent is respected, because you're spending all this time with your child. The pediatrician walks in and sees your kid for 10 minutes, if that.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that's important. um when we are talking about the diagnostic process, which I spent many years working with children who had not been diagnosed yet. They were the littles, they were the 18 months, the 2-year-old babies, not really saying anything, not really playing with toys, not really interested in engaging with anybody. and hadn't completely gone through the diagnosis process, because it's tough to diagnose little ones.
Yeah.
When they're 18 months, when they're 2 years old, that's you can't sit down and expect them to sit for an hour while you do testing. A lot of it is based on observation. A lot of it is based on the parents' input. But once a diagnosis is reached, whether it's, an autism diagnosis, maybe there's not autism, but they have speech and language impairment. Maybe it's, some sort of a developmental issue, anything like that. Doctors are great at telling you this is what's wrong. And I'm talking all ages. What they aren't great at is, here's what you do next.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest part is, so now, okay, we have a diagnosis. What now? Because especially when we're talking about babies and very young children, all those hopes and dreams you had at the very beginning when that baby was just born, all of a sudden that gets flipped on its ear.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, there's that feeling of loss. There's that feeling of mourning of what could have been. There's that feeling of anxiety. Well, okay, what happens to my child when I am, as their parent, am gone?
Yep.
Will my child ever be able to live on their own? Will they be able to have their own family? Will they be able to go to school? You've got all these huge question marks that, when the children are 2, 3, 4, even older, nobody can answer those questions.
Nobody
can answer those questions. And, what I do tell parents is, when they're given a diagnosis like that, that's not something that now we are going to try to fix, because there's not a fix. There's not a cure. There's not a pill you can take, and there's not a therapy that cures autism or some of these other disabilities. So it's a matter of learning how to work with what you got and teaching these children how to live in this world. And that's really what it's about. And, I've had many conversations with parents who blame themselves. They're like, oh my gosh, I didn't pay enough attention. I let them have a tablet when they were young, too young, and I let them, do all this other stuff. And, it's so important for parents to know that they are not to blame, and that this is not a judgment on them. And parents don't hear that enough.
They don't.
And then you get on social media and everybody wants to judge.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I just try with my approach to be positive and verbalize to them that there is no judgment and there is no shame, and your child is beautiful and perfect. We just need to help them on their way.
Mm-hmm.
And
also help the world to adjust to them as well. The world needs to do a little more adjusting. Because we expect our kids to adjust to absolutely everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the world needs to be more flexible and to kind of learn how to adapt to these kids as well.
Absolutely. And I do have hope, though. I'm seeing, more and more public places that, have things specifically for children, and I mean, all ages of folks with special needs. And that's hugely helpful. I also think it's important that we hold companies accountable. Mm-hmm. We hold places accountable. I think that's hugely important. Case in point, we have a beautiful new aquarium that just opened, and it's wonderful. And it's got all these fabulous sensory components, and it's just this great place. When I went, we had my dad, who's in a wheelchair, and we had a stroller. And the doors were extremely heavy and almost too heavy to be able to open. And we had a bunch of kids with us, and for our whole group to go through the door, it was hard. And
button. There's no button to help open the
no
door.
Button, no nothing. And they were big, heavy doors, and you're going in and out. So there's the wind. And I became a member of the aquarium, and I thought, you know what? Shoot, I'm a member. I should have some say. So I emailed them and said, congratulations. It's a great aquarium. I'm looking forward to many trips there. However, just doors, just simple universal design, having a button.
Yes.
That should not be an afterthought.
No.
That should not be an afterthought.
The first thing you're doing is walking through the door to get into the facility. So you kind of want that really good experience. You don't want to automatically, you can't get through the door. You have to ask one of the kids to help you so you can, it should be for everybody. If that's what they say, it should be very inclusive.
Exactly. So, I really think that it's definitely a two-way street.
Have you gone back there at all since you went there? Have you gone back to that aquarium at all?
I have not. Actually, we were planning a trip next week, so I'm going to be excited.
We would love an aquarium update just in case. Yes. We would love it.
It's a wonderful space, and I think it's a great space, especially for the kids with autism. There's all kinds of interactive stuff, all kinds of sensory things, but the doors.
The doors.
First step, the doors. We need to get through them.
The doors.
Oh yeah. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off. I was just wondering. I was like, I wonder if she went back. Wonder if she. I'd love to hear that.
No, but yeah, I agree that the world needs to bend a little bit too.
Yes.
And and I mean, the thing that really weighs on my mind is here in the good old USA is we're doing okay. This is not the worst place to live if you have disabilities.
Right.
There are other countries where there's a totally different mindset about disabilities, and it's something to be ashamed of, and there are no resources, and that just pains me to think that that's even the case anywhere, but it is.
We have the old school stigmas are still
for sure.
It's definitely insane because we've gone pretty far in the last couple of decades. We've done pretty well at. I know we still have a long ways to go, of course, but I think we've adjusted very well. Just I think social media tears it apart a little bit as far as the judgment zones that everybody has.
Yes.
If we could take away the cell phones and accessibility to everybody and go back to you had to be home to get the phone call, I would love it. I would love it,
I have an 11-year-old son, and he's just starting to get into talking to his friends on the phone.
Yes.
And I told my husband, I said, I want to get a landline.
Yeah.
Put it on the wall. Don't even get
They're always on the phone, so I feel like somebody's always in my house. So I'm like, it's a little crazy. It was not like that before. I mean, I did have the cord across the house sometimes, hiding from my mom. I definitely did, but I spent a lot of time outside. I was hanging out with my friends, They were the only ones to judge me, and then they wouldn't be my friends. It was all love. We were just hanging out. Like, it should be the same. I think that has a big thing to do with it. Just kids don't know who they're supposed to be, how they're supposed to be. And then you throw in a diagnosis or you need a little extra help having to get past just your everyday. And then on top of that, there's social media. I know my 18-year-old, he doesn't have any social media at all. He just watches YouTube. That is his line. Other than that, I was like, oh, you don't want to connect with any? He's like, nope, I'm okay. He is A-okay, having no connection to anybody but who he likes. Like, that is it.
Yes, no, absolutely, absolutely. Because it's, I mean, I just think it's a slippery slope. I really do. It's, and you've got to be wise. And, youngsters, they don't have the experience, and they don't have the perspective that we do. So, something happens on social media, it's like, oh, drama, 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 and it's the end of the world. Just, because they just haven't lived enough to have that perspective. So,
and they're basing it on what others are telling them it should be, instead of being able to fully live it and experience it. Yeah, I love it. So we'll go into the whole parents. Parents, often say that they had a feeling something quite wasn't right, but how much should parents trust that instinct?
And it's so hard because you have that deep down feeling, but then you can also have that voice of, oh, it's okay, everything's fine, it'll all work out. Trusting that voice is just, it's hugely important. And my whole thought is, it never hurts to request an evaluation. It never hurts to go talk to your doctor. I'm sorry, I'm at my parents' house, there's a lot of noise. It doesn't hurt to talk to your doctor. It doesn't hurt to take your child in for an evaluation by a speech pathologist or an OT, which is an occupational therapist, or a physical therapist if you have a concern. Because, a therapist is not going to say, oh, they're fine, but, let's do therapy just because. That's not the way, that's not the way we work. I always explain to parents, who are concerned, and if it's, I do testing, I talk to them, and I've deduced that, what, right now things are in the average or typical range. So I can't really do therapy because there's not anything to do therapy on, because they're in the normal or average range. What I always tell parents is, take that at face value. And if in a few months you have concerns that are raised again, let's talk. Call me, text me, bring your child back in. Let's see what's going on. It's important, yes, that you can accept the professional opinion, but also it's important that you kind of stay on top of things. And, I always tell parents, I'm seeing your child for a moment in time. I don't know your child. They're here for an hour, and it may, other things may crop up the further that, that we go.
Do you think it's harder to diagnose children that are maybe more high functioning? Like, my son he did not speak until he was 3, but once he could talk, he can speak for himself. He's very articulate. I never had a therapist tell me I can come back, but I have been shopping, and I just recently found out I have to continue to shop to get him a diagnosis from the state of Connecticut. But I did have his high school help me finally, after, I guess, having a little more time to really see his pushbacks and his quirks. And then they're sitting with him, and we're looking at each other, and we're like, okay. But I've known his entire life.
Yes.
And I've known forever, but he's number 3 of 8. I have lots of other children to compare him to, where I can really, and I would tell everybody, if you sit with him for 10 minutes, like, you'll know. But for some reason, just because he's higher functioning,
right.
I'm having a very hard time getting somebody to really give me that diagnosis.
Absolutely. Can you give me just one sec?
Yeah.
Hang on just a minute.
Yes. We're all living life on a Friday today, aren't we?
If he come here,
my nephews are just hanging out. I just
bite my arm. I'm like, what do you want? He goes, running. Seriously?
I just love it.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
Oh man.
He has in here next to me.
I'm so sorry about that.
No.
So yeah, when kids are verbal and when they're extremely verbal, it can be a little bit more difficult for people if they don't know what they're looking for.
Okay.
And the other thing that I've seen in my experience is oftentimes autism specifically presents very different in girls than boys.
Okay.
And that's really interesting. A lot of times the girls are extremely verbal. And they're verbal and they're social. And it's really interesting because it's a very nuanced type of thing that you're looking for with the girls. And again, I can't, as a speech pathologist in the state of Florida, I cannot diagnose autism.
No. I'm just what you've seen. We're only speaking on your personal what you've seen in the field as far as that's where we all are, I promise. It's our own experience, definitely, because you've seen I've only hung out with my son, my nephews. Those are the only children that I've had, around me, but you've seen
oh my God.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine. I've tried to count it before. I'm like, I don't even know. But, a lot of times I'll have parents come in and, they have some concerns like, oh, my child can't really, follow directions, or they can't really answer questions. But they can say the alphabet frontwards and backwards. They know all their letters. They know all their numbers. They line stuff up, and and in my head I'm going ding 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 ding, because we do see it's called hyperlexic, where the kids are very early young readers, or they're like they love the alphabet and everything's got to be an alphabet or a number. And the way I kind of conceptualize that is, people with autism tend to be very objective and tend to be very concrete. Yes. And so it's, abstract thoughts or abstract concepts are more difficult.
My son is very his way, and but I had a harder time because he's completely opposite of what you just described. He does not line anything up. He had zero interest. He likes books and loves books now. But he won't write a paragraph. He just doesn't see the point in it. So they let him do like a voice to text, speech to text.
That's good.
They were allowed, just so that he can finish his work, he would do it. But it was only if there was an end result that warranted him being able to finish his book or do what he wanted to do at the end. Like, whatever you need me to do, I'll do. But like art class, he deemed it unnecessary. I had to have a meeting with the art teacher and just apologize to her. I was like, I'm sorry, he just deems your class unnecessary. He doesn't know why he needs to sit and draw for 30 minutes. He can be doing something else. He doesn't. And I was like, you just need this credit, buddy. We need the credit. Like, please. But
yeah, my son is the one that that went away.
Oh, did we lose you?
Sorry about that.
Yeah, perfect.
I was just saying that's how I felt in math class.
Yeah, like, why? We don't need this.
Exactly.
Now you're like, how much is that change back, buddy? I need my change back.
Right. And, but that definitely brings up a good point is, there's no specific little way that autism can be described that fits everybody. And, I really, kind of stand by once you meet one person with autism. You've only met one person with autism.
Yes.
And that's the same for any disability. Everybody is different. And, kind of what I was getting back to with the alphabet and the numbers is, the way I kind of think about that is that's the way some of these folks make sense of the world.
Right.
That helps them make sense of the world because, you can categorize things into numbers and into letters and, and I mean, we all have a way that our brains work to categorize the world to make sense for us. And so I just think that that's always an interesting thing. Those super early readers.
Yes. Books are fundamental. We need them. We need more readers. We need to keep the readers going. Yes. We really do. Like, we feel the paper, smell the paper.
And there's no substitute for an actual physical book.
I try to tell everybody. I fight with her too. She's like, "Oh, grab my Kindle." I was like, "You need the book."
I have books too. Don't worry. But
I know that you do, but I gave you that side-eye. Well, I was like, "No, where's the book?"
It was so tiny. My eyes hurt. I'm like, "Oh, give me my book." So I love the fact that you mentioned like getting evaluated. Like, isn't about like labeling the child, but it's more so for opening doors of supports.
Absolutely,
that is phenomenal. So that's going to transition us into our next segment where you talk about why that early intervention matters, right?
Oh my gosh, early intervention. The research has shown over and over again that the earlier that children and their families get the support they need, the better off they're going to be. Children have, this time really up until they're about 6 or 7 that they're just sponges. Their little brains are just sponges. And, that's the time we really need to be working on. Let's help them communicate. Let's help them with their fine motor skills. Let's help them with their sensory processing because their brains are just ready to soak up information. And again, we have to adjust how we're teaching these things because not everybody's brain learns the same. So, but that prime time is that early time. I just watched a presentation about learning a second language and how the optimal time for a person to learn a second language is when they're born into it and they grow up with it, because our ability to recognize the speech sounds in our own language decreases drastically once we get to be about 8, 9, 10 years old. So that, that just shows that your brain is just primed early on, and we've got to jump on it because, the clock is ticking to really have that maximum impact. Not to say that older children can't learn and can't make progress and everything, and adults as well, but that really crucial time is early. And teaching these families how to deal with things, because it's frustrating and it's hard and it's stressful and you feel like you're doing the wrong thing all the time. So, we don't want parents to get to the point where they've gone 15 years with their child with a disability and they've never been taught how to deal with them, how to help them, how to, how to move forward.
That's me.
And so that parent support is huge. And, I'm a firm believer of, in the majority of therapy sessions, parents should be involved.
Oh, yeah.
I always welcome parents into my therapy sessions because they're part of the therapy. They're with their child, all week long. I see their child an hour or two a week, so I want to teach the parents. And I always tell them, everything you see me do I want you to do.
Mhm.
And I tell the parents that, and I have them show me that they understand. And I have them, okay, mom and dad, you try now.
Right.
Let's see. Because that's important that that's carried over so that that child can, again, optimize their learning. So for parents, if parents take their child to see a professional and, the professional therapist or whomever it may be, it doesn't want parents in the therapy room, that's, to me, that's concerning. And as a parent, again, you need to advocate for your child, advocate for yourself as a parent. There may be a good reason. There may be, maybe the kiddo works better without the parent there. Of course, that can be the case. Typically when I have kids that I see that are like 10, 11, 12, we start to have the conversation of, do you want mom and dad in the room? Do you want to come in by yourself? Because 10, 11, these kids start to think they're grown. So, but we have the conversation with them and the parents of, okay, how are we moving forward? But when these, are little itty bitties, 2, 3, 4, it's important that those parents see what we're doing in therapy, are engaged, understand why we're doing things. And as therapists, it's important that we explain why. Okay, yeah, we're blowing bubbles. We're not just blowing bubbles to like take up 30 minutes of time. We're blowing bubbles because we're working on requesting, we're working on sequencing, we're working on waiting, we're working on sitting still, we're working on directions. So, it's important. And some therapists do a really good job explaining and, some don't. But I think it's, if there are any therapists listening to this, it's important that we always are, because it makes sense to us. We know why we're doing things, but it's important to speak it out loud for the parents.
Communication is key, I think.
For sure.
Explain it to people.
For me, with my son with speech, I notice if I'm in the room, he wants to like cuddle, sit on me the entire time. So I love this lady. She's never asked me to leave. I just told her, I said, hey, I'll sit out in the hallway if you need me. Plus he's an eloper. So I'm always going to be near the door in case he decides he's going to take off on her. And so far, so good. And
good.
And I love it. And
talking about that, I was thinking about you too. I was like, I wonder how he acts when
I'm there. Oh,
in the room. Yeah, because.
And again, it's different for each kid. But, the concern I have is, as a parent, if you want to be a part of that therapy session or that appointment and the professional says, oh, I don't think so. They should never, never tell you no to something like that. It should be a discussion.
Oh yeah. No. He just, he turns into a baby with her. He knows.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Mom, it's just, he's extra.
That's my boo. Like, wait.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and boys and their mamas. Oh,
yeah.
I get it.
Oh, yeah. So I could just imagine.
I've got one.
I'm trying.
It's just great. Right? He just, baby man. Oh, yeah.
It's my dude. So with my son, this is going to take us into the AAC topic. He was in school and they had on the iPad, the Golo Pro, I think it is, or
Pro to go.
That one. So then, they showed it and I'm like, oh, it's using it? Because this is before, like, when he only had like maybe 20 words in his vocabulary. So I go and spend however much it was. And he played with it like 2 or 3 times. He don't want that. I said, oh my goodness. But when I take him to speech therapy, they do try it with him. And I think he does it every now and then, but because he would rather speak. I'm okay with that. But I know that it can create some uncertainty for parents. So that's going to take us into the next topic here. There's so many misconceptions about the AAC device. So what is one of the biggest myths that you have heard?
So the biggest myth that is out there that I have to repeatedly debunk is that oh, my child is going to use AAC as a crutch, and they're going to, if they're somewhat talking, they're going to stop talking, or they're not ever going to learn to speak because they can just put it in a computer. So that would be really the biggest fallacy. And I believe in a total communication approach. So when I am working with a child and teaching them to use AAC, like a tablet-based program, the whole point is you push the button, which is usually a square, and it's got a picture icon, and then it says the word, and then there's also the word written. So, we can do that, but then it's also important that I speak the word as well, because I want them to understand it's not just push it on it means more than that. So I think that's really important. And if we look at it as using it as a tool, which it is, it's a tool. I think that's a better way to work or to use it. And as something that, for children who are nonverbal, or maybe it's a child who has such difficulty pronouncing speech sounds that you can't understand them. Because that's another thing that you can use AAC for, and I've used that for children like that, is, why would you not want to give your child a tool to help them feel less frustrated, to help them be able to communicate? I mean, that's a basic human right, is communication. And that's, what I explain to parents is that it's not a crutch. It's not a replacement. It's a tool. And a lot of times what we see is the use of the AAC stimulates language and stimulates spoken language. And it's, and we see the language growth with the use of AAC. I mean, again, that doesn't happen 100% of the time. Some people may end up, AAC is their primary voice, and that's okay too. At least they have a way to, to communicate. And what we need to do is kind of shift our thinking and not think of AAC as a less than, because that's, I think sometimes how people view it. And, if that attitude is there, and then it's always going to feel less than, and so with AAC, it's about, celebrating the ability and the joy of communicating and connection. And, that's such a human, humankind necessity. And, for these children who have difficulty with connection anyways, we want to do anything we can to encourage connection. Absolutely. And engagement.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. I agree with that. So, communication is much more than speaking. Let's talk about Spekeasy. I know I'm excited to hear about this one.
Yay!
All right.
So, Spekeasy, I was really, really drawn to this app and to this company because they're doing things differently. And that was kind of the whole reason the company was founded. The gentleman who founded the company, he had a friend's son or someone with two devices. One he was using to communicate with, the other one he was using to play games with. And the thought was, why can't this all be on a single device? in a single app.
Mm-hmm.
So that's essentially how Speakeasy kind of was brought to the forefront. And so Speakeasy is a pretty amazing combination of fairly traditional AAC. You've got, the different communication boards with the different buttons. You can, go ahead and customize those buttons. You can put in different names of things. If somebody calls, a couch, one person may call it a couch, one person may call it a Davenport, then you can, customize the button for whatever is the common thing. You can put in, photos of people in your life, of things in your world. So that's all pretty standard with a lot of the AAC that's out there. So that's great. There's also a keyboard function. So if you can't find exactly the word you're looking for, you can type it. So you have really unlimited potential for communication from that standpoint. The thing that AAC Plus has done with the Speakeasy app that's different is we've got a wide variety of interactive activities that we can keep data on, that therapists can keep data on, because the app tracks everything, which is really cool. So you can, as a therapist or a teacher, you can assign homework that's, based on these incredible interactive activities. So that's really cool. There's also real world practice of communication. So there's a restaurant and you can enter the restaurant and it's a virtual restaurant, and you can go order a hamburger, and you can go talk to someone sitting in a booth, and you can go bump into a kid who tells you where the soda is. So that's pretty neat. We tried to really make that very realistic. We also have a home environment. So again, another virtual environment. And you can go open the refrigerator, and you can feed the dog, and you can go upstairs. You can brush your teeth. So you can practice all of these things that, are not specifically only language. It's sequencing, it's direction following, it's, all of these other things that we do and don't even think about, but are difficult to people who may have communication challenges. So it's great practice. We're working on a school environment, so we're going to have that very soon. We also have an avatar for the user. So the user can build an avatar based on what they want it to look like. So we've got a lot of very different features that other AAC apps do not have. And that's why I'm so excited. We're really using cutting edge technology. We're using AI. We've got, some predictive functions for the communication. As far as you type, you push the button for I, and then it goes to what, a list of what might be the next word that you're trying to convey. So I want, I need, I am, so it's really an exciting app, and it launched really not that long ago, and we're still in the early stages, but we've been working to constantly develop it, constantly upgrade it. We're excited for people to try it. We want to hear what people have to think. We want feedback. We want this app to be easy for people to use. We want this app to be functional. We want this app to be enjoyable. It's got to kind of hit all those marks for people to use it. There are lots of AAC apps out there, and they've been very successful and have lots and lots of users. And eventually we'd like to get to that point, but also we want users to continue to use our app. There's one big issue with the AAC in general is user abandonment. So as a speech therapist, I may work to teach a child how to use their AAC. I may work with the family on training and, go through all of the steps, work with the teachers, get them trained, have everybody understand the importance and how to use this. And then you see the device tossed aside in a corner, not charged, not in a case, because it's too much.
Yes.
It's too much.
It's a lot.
And so that's one thing that, we're really trying to do with the Spekeasy app is I don't want someone to have to click in 15 different places to get to one thing. That's exhausting. We try to make it very simple. The fewer the clicks, the better. Yes. And the easier it is on everyone. We want it user friendly. When parents are trying to use this with their child, or a therapist is trying to use this with their child, think of, okay, you got the app in one hand and your kid in the other. So you got to be able to have ease of use, because a lot of times the child is not sitting still either. So they're squirming around, and you're trying to do something on the AAC. So it's got to be easy in every form of the word.
It's not just the name, right? And every,
right.
Like a nice door to open,
Yes.
Nice door.
Absolutely. A nice door. And parenting is hard enough. Parenting special needs children is even harder. You don't need a device or an AAC app making your life even more difficult.
Exactly. Very, very true.
Mm-hmm.
The app, is it available now in like Google Play? Is it available in the Apple?
Yep. The App Store. Yep. Absolutely.
We have that on the bottom so everybody knows how to spell it.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah, please try it out. Let us know what you think. We want feedback. We want to know what works for you. If something doesn't work, let us know. Our goal is we want to make this just the easiest, smoothest app to help people. We want this to be helpful. We don't want this to be, more of a barrier. We want this to be helpful.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I think one of the biggest takeaways from this conversation is that parents should never be afraid to ask questions, trust their instincts, and seek support early. Communication is more than words. It's connection, independence, and giving every child the opportunity to express themselves. We appreciate the incredible work that you're doing to help that possible. We really appreciate Speakeasy being as easy as you put into the name. And everybody, we hope they have a wonderful day and continue to follow and watch us. We definitely would love to hear everything that has happened, especially of that aquarium that you went to. We hope
I'll let you know. I will let you know.
We hope that they appreciate feedback as much as you, because feedback is the only way we know what to improve, right?
Absolutely.
So for the Speakeasy app, what does the actual logo look like? I'm up here right now trying to find it in I have an iPhone. Is it that AAC Plus image?
Yes.
Okay.
You found it?
Do I need to put anything particular? I put Speakeasy in, and then it shows me like 1,000 different things. But they pick the A and they add actual word Speakeasy. It doesn't show just that.
Okay.
I'm only asking so that way I can put it.
No, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. You can find it too. And then we'll let you enjoy the rest of your
yes, then we'll release.
So right now there's like a little monkey.
Oh, okay. I saw that one. I just didn't. Okay.
Okay. I see that one.
Is it this cute little one right here? don't know if y'all can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And give us a review even. I see we've got some reviews on here. Give us a review. We'd love to hear. We want to hear from people who are using this and trying this. And I do also want to let you know that this is actually an app that's also available through AbleNet currently as well.
Through what now?
Through AbleNet.
What is AbleNet? I don't know what that is.
So they provide dedicated devices through insurance, and they have kind of a catalog of apps that are available on their devices. And the Spekeasy app has recently been added to their catalog. So that's very exciting. So if there are any families that, have AbleNet, it's called a Quick Talk or Freestyle through AbleNet, or that are in the process of trying to get their child a device through AbleNet, or if you're a speech pathologist, who goes through AbleNet, Spekeasy is an app that is now available through AbleNet.
That is going to make sure that you have your app directed to the right people that will be able to utilize it in the right way. That's amazing. Congratulations. That's great.
Thank you. We're excited.
All right. AbleNet. Is it one word? AbleNet?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. All right. That's actually good. Thank you so much.
Yes.
I'm going to check them out myself too when we finish.
All right. Yes. Very good. Very good.
Thank you so much again.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. And I hope to speak to you soon again. Okay. Thanks.
Really. Thank you, ladies.
Okay.